years that people who are building see that opportunity. And for apartments too, in the 700 to 1,100 a month group, I think we need apartments too with amenities to help those young people.
And Ms. King, your response.
Thank you. And as I've stated in the newspaper and on the radio, I definitely want to push for commercial and residential growth. This will disseminate the likelihood of the cities having to raise property taxes. Everyone agrees that housing affordability is a problem, but how do we fix it? It's simple. We do need more homes built, not necessarily more affordable housing, but more housing, period. We have a supply and demand society where the demand is higher, builders build more. Yes, I quoted copious amounts of times the statistical research on our poverty level. We have a 31.4% poverty level here in Thomaston, Georgia. The nearest shelter, homeless shelter, is about 25 miles away in Griffin. Let's bring a shelter that's closer and tackle our poverty issues. And then what we'll do is that turn over the demand. There's a couple of revitalization plans that I have in mind that will go alongside of this. And as I previously stated in the first response, we can also incorporate residential zoning codes. Another effort that I have been researching comes from California, and this deals with the homeless. They have started a project with pods. Pods are like storage units, but they make these storage units into one-bedroom apartments, and they also bring in the homeless people. They teach them hard and soft job skills. They have a place to live. They're no longer on the streets. And once they have received either the mental health they need, the medical help, and the physical training for jobs, then they can become productive society members. Therefore, that will also decrease the number of people or jobs that may be looking for people, because you're producing them, you're training them, you know the product that you have, and you send them back out into the workforce. And that solves two problems: the workforce problem as well as the homelessness issue.
Thank you. Next question on start, presenting first to the incumbent Doug Ed. Do you plan to address wrongful evictions in the community?
Again, that's not the government's place. Wrongful evictions, if you've got people who have rental properties and people feel like they're wrongly evicted, that's something to take care in civil court. That's not our job. I want, in the end, I'm a conservative. I want really less government rather than more. And I don't want us suddenly getting into managing how people, if people feel like they're wrongly evicted, take them to court.
Ms. King, that question to you.
Absolutely. I hate to see hardworking Americans evicted. I've had friends and family members who've been evicted, wrongfully evicted. Wrongful evictions will not be tolerated if I'm elected Mayor Pro Tem. It's a crime, in fact. I stated how I would stand up and fight for my constituents and citizens' rights, and I mean that. If there is no formal or legal process to follow, I will analyze our local eviction protections if we have such enactments. If not, we'll start with temporary eviction moratoriums. That'll be my first plan of action. That will include rent ordinances in accordance with HUD rules and regulations of the state. We do have, and when I say me, I mean us, the United States, there are numerous people who are wrongly evicted every day. And then there's some that deserves to be. But wrongful eviction, I don't care who you are, it's wrong. And they need to know that here in Thomaston, it will not be tolerated. There will be procedures and protocols that will be put in place. If they're not there, if there are some that are already in place, we will definitely review those, make sure they're up to par and they're up to date according to the standards.
And Ms. Lindsay, that same question to you.
This is one thing I heard from really soon once I first started advertising that I was running for Mayor Pro Tem. I had someone write me a really long Facebook message about wrongful evictions. I never had thought about it, but this certain person, and I've heard others since then, you know, they talk about, they make accusations against the landlord landlords, the magistrate judge, the lawyers, you know. And I know that with everything, there's three sides to every story. So I believe that each individual case of wrongful eviction claims should be addressed and examined. And if there's a problem, it needs to be fixed. I know that people are in the business of rentals and that they make their living by renting. But we need to make sure that the renters are not being abused. I've seen pictures of houses that I could not believe anyone had to live in those. Again, that comes down to code enforcement. But we need to make sure our citizens have safe rentals to live in, but also make sure that if the landlord abuses the renters, that investigations are made.
And this will be our final question. And again, for each of you, and we'll begin it with Ms. Sharon King. Members of the community who do not live in the town, but own property, do not currently have voting rights. Do you believe they should be addressed?
Okay, do me one favor, if you please repeat that, I'm sorry.
Be glad to. Members of the community who do not live in the town, but own property, do not currently have voting rights. Do you believe that should be addressed?
I do believe that should be addressed. I do not agree with the voting right being available to those owners that live in the county. However, they do have a voice on decisions that could affect them, and their opinions should be and will be heard. The voting decision is dependent upon the constituents of our city. I know we had a concerned citizen that came to vote the day that I went to vote. She lived in the county, but she was perturbed because she could not vote for Mayor Pro Tem because Mayor Pro Tem is at large. And I understood both sides of that, but there are rules and ordinances that are in place. Certainly if we had a city-county combining, then that would definitely be yes. My answer would be yes. But at this point, since we only have city voting rules, county, we're not a conglomerate, then my stance is no.
And Ms. Lori Lindsay, same question to you.
Again, this is one thing I've heard from a lot of people, this question, and my true feeling is that I believe if you own property or business in the city, you should have a voice and a vote. However, after questioning a few folks about this, I've not gotten an answer on who makes this law. So I don't know if it's a local law we can change. Is it something that's determined by the state or even federally? I don't know. I've just now started researching this, but I will continue to investigate it to see and make changes if we could, so that the residents of our county that own property or business in the city can have a voice in what changes are made in the city that affects them as well. I did have someone say, well, you wouldn't want somebody that owns property and lives in Utah voting. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that live here in Upton County that own a business in the city or property. They have their mother's house in the city or something like that. Then I think they should have a voice of what decisions we make.
Mr. Head, that question to you.
You know, I mean, it's the way our country is set up. You can register to vote in one place. So people have a choice. If they have a business in the city, they can choose to move into the city, but you can't just vote wherever you want to. You can't live in one section of town and vote in the other because you have a business over in that other district. Basically, it's the way our country is set up. You register to vote in one place, and you have a choice where you want to live, and they just simply have to decide what's more important to me. Do I want to move into the town so I can have more of a say-so? But we can't vote in multiple places.
Those are the questions that were prepared. We're going to do closing statements, is that correct?
Unless anybody has any other
Yeah,
questions.
anyone else have any other questions that they would like to present? With that being asked, we'll start with closing statements, and we'll begin with Ms. Lori Lindsay.
Thanks again to all of you that came out tonight and to the people who organized this event for us. We've had a lot of good discussion tonight. I appreciate your questions and your participation. I appreciate the thoughtful answers given by my fellow We've talked a lot about change tonight. Yes, change is as sure as death and taxes. Thomaston is changing rapidly, but Thomaston needs new direction in order to change in a positive, inclusive way. If nothing changes, everything remains the same. Do we really want the same people making the same decisions year after year? Do we really want influence of big shots from other places on our town? I don't, and I don't think you do either. What I do believe is that Thomaston needs a change of focus. The focus needs to be on the folks that work hard for a paycheck, take care of their families, and pay their taxes. Ordinary, everyday citizens just like you and me. Thomaston needs a change of heart to devote more resources to those organizations who are already helping the elderly, the homeless, and those that don't feel like they have a voice. Thomaston needs a change of direction to grow in a way that doesn't tear down what we already have and protects us from losing our small town charm and sense of community. That change of focus, change of heart, and change of direction will begin with me because my focus will be on you. I will build on what we already have and will work with those folks and organizations that are already making a difference, the givers, not the takers. My promise to you is that my door will always be open and your voice will always be heard. I ask for your vote as your next mayor pro tem. Thank you.
And incumbent D.T.A.I.B.A.I, your closing statements.
I want to say how honored I am to be your mayor pro tem and how fortunate I am to live in this town and to have been in the government for the last 17 years. My job is to represent the whole city, and my commitment is to that mission. We've accomplished a lot, and many things are important, but I want you to know that the things I feel that are most important is public safety, and secondarily to infrastructure and quality of life. In public safety, we've worked on pay for police to help recruit and maintain an adequate staff. We've seen a rise in crime and recently authorized spending $225,000 to set up a crime suppression unit to deal with increasing gang and violent crime. We anticipate completion of our new fire station by Christmas. We purchased a new ladder truck and added a new replacement pumper truck. I want to work toward a department that being and I hope this, because I think this would help a lot, work toward a department being a licensed first responder unit to help assist in responding to critical care needs. On infrastructure, we've made over $20 million worth of upgrades in sewer and water upgrades and several million in paving streets. We recently passed a T-Splosh with the help to assure the future of our roads. These upgrades and the recent intergovernmental agreement will help us take care of future sewer needs related to the recruitment of industry. In finances, we're doing well financially, and I feel my 38-year banking career is vital to giving me the needed experience and skill set to work with budgets, cash flows, and financial projections. And in quality of life, on top of my list here is the redevelopment of downtown Thomaston using the master plan of downtown, facade grant programs, and working towards the rural designation, which we've just got, and the redrafting of the alcohol and zoning ordinances that we've just done. We have accomplished a lot, but there's more to do, and the best is yet to come. You've trusted me, and I appreciate that. Let's move forward to a great future together.
And Ms. Sharon King, your closing arguments.
Thank you. How may I stand, please? I thought about writing a response to this, but this is something that's dear to my heart. This is something that I can't write about. I'm genuine, I'm passionate. You've heard things about me. You're learning about me. You may know what I stand for. If you do not know or you are unsure of what I stand for, please feel free to see me after. I will stand there. But my goal as your next mayor pro tem, one, is to have a unified stance, a unified citizenship, a unified community. There does not need to be any more division. We cannot lead or see with blind eyes. It's here. Racism is here, division is here. Not one or the other may be at fault, but we need to come together. My goal is to decrease homelessness, poverty, increase residential and commercial growth and development here in this town, and also step up and work hard, and that's what I've done. I'll work hard for you if you elect me as Mayor Pro Tem. I'm very transparent because I've been there. I'm relatable. I know what some of Thomaston is going through.